It's a long story. 15 seasons, actually. And if you're keeping count, that's 5 more than Smallville.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Retrospect. Today we will continue with Smallville Season 4.
If there's one man who can help, it's the man coming in here right now.
Smallville was still on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. and I was always having everything done what I'm supposed to do by 7:30. And I'm in front of the TV with or without my brother. However, my mom settled down at the wrong time. I remember seeing the first 7 episodes of the season, but once we moved out of our apartment to my stepdad's trailer in the countryside, I had missed the rest of the season. I was so damn disappointed because we didn't have cable at all. We didn't get cable until season 5. So that entire summer when season 4 ended, that's when I started to pirate and use FrostWire or LimeWire to get a handful of episodes because in my opinion, a lot of exciting things happened. When I first saw the trailer for the first 2 episodes, there was a song that made the season that much more epic. For years, I never knew the name of the song until 2010, 2011. It's called Firestarter by Jimmy Eat World. Here I will play a clip.
September 22nd on the WB Wednesday, a new season takes flight. Reunited by fate.
Something happened, didn't it?
Do you believe in destiny?
In a place where life will never be the same.
Who are you?
Lois Lane.
Smallville season premiere, September 22nd on the WB Wednesday.
Man, good memories. The ratings have dipped again, only averaging 4.4 million. But then again, I don't give a damn about the ratings. Whoever tuned out is their loss. The 4th season won several awards from the Leo Awards to the Saturn Awards, to name some examples. As you know, Sam Jones III left the series. Both we have gained 2 new actors, Jensen Ackles and Erica Durant. But we will get into them in a minute. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Now, this season will change everything we know about the series, with more Superman lore and DC lore altogether. So let's do a recap of the finale of season 3. A girl named Kara came for Clark as Jonathan made a deal with Jor-El. Lana left for Paris as she studies abroad. Clark renounces his friendship with Lex as he finds out that he's still being investigated. Lionel's going to jail to answer for his crimes. Chloe and her dad were presumably killed while being held under witness protection, and Lex was poisoned. Clark is forced into the cave wall to be reborn by Jor-El. Now we begin with season 4 with the 3-month time skip. Chloe leaves a video message for Clark, believing that she died and wants him to find out who did it. However, Clark wasn't viewing the video, but an unknown woman looking for Clark. While looking for the Kent farm, lightning struck the cornfield, causing the woman to crash. As she surveyed on what happened, unbeknownst to her, it was Clark with no memory of who he is and is naked. Clark asked the woman who she was, and she introduced herself.
Lois Lane.
Now, when I saw this in the trailer, this was my reaction.
You're right. Yeah! He's dying! Zoinks! 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 Yes! Yes!
Lois brings Clark to the hospital and tries to leave him, but can't due to since she was the one that found him, she is responsible for him for the time being. I would complain of the fact that Clark and his family have been in the hospital many times so far in the series. It flew over my head because I was just too excited to finally see Lois Lane in Smallville. Jonathan is in a coma and Martha comes to visit and read to him every day. The doctor wants to pull the plug because their insurance ran out, but Martha is not going to give up on him. As Lois and Clark wait, Martha runs into Clark. As Martha thanks Lois and leaves out, Lois figures out that Clark was the guy she was looking for. Damn. The irony having a guy with amnesia is the exact person that you were looking for. It's pretty funny to me. Let's check up on Lana and see what she's been up to.
I did my dance one time on TikTok and went viral with it.
I've been waiting since 2020 to use this joke. I hope you find it funny like I did. Lana bumps into a guy and he goes to ask Lana her opinion on the gift that he got his girlfriend for their 2-month anniversary.
Stupid motherfuckers.
Why do people do this? You do know that the relationship can crumble at any moment, right? Well, we all saw this coming. Lana has a new boyfriend, a new series regular, Jason T, played by the legendary Jensen Ackles. I'm going to be real here, but Lana seems really happy in her new relationship. One can't hope that this relationship can survive anything.
Wouldn't go that far. Hail to the north. Fuck out of here. The fuck out of here.
You, bro.
Fuck you.
Lex survived his fatal poisoning and went to Egypt. He unearthed a statue that had symbols resembling those of the cave walls. He buries all traces of his visit and went to his private jet. The doctor scolds him that he was living on borrowed time, that if his blood isn't purified every 72 hours, his organs will start to shut down. And I don't care if I'm getting ahead, but after watching this season many times, this was never brought up again after this episode, like at all. Martha brings Clark to the barn to jog his memory, but once he sees Jonathan's picture...
He's not my father. He tried to prevent me from being reborn.
No, Clark. He loves you. He tried to save you from Jor-El.
Either way, he's dead.
Back of the plane, due to a little turbulence, the statue breaks, but it has a stone inside. When Lex touches it, it activates, sending the signal like the key once had, activating Clark's program memories from Jor-El.
I am Kal-El of Krypton. It is time to fulfill my destiny.
Destiny! That's Jor-El talking! He did this to you! I want my son back! Give me my son back!
Clark Kent is dead.
Clark pushed Martha out of the way and took flight, leaving Martha in awe. Back in Paris, Lana has an assignment for her school, and Jason points her to Countess Margaret Isabel Thoreau. As Lana etches a sketch to Countess' picture, she sees a symbol that looks vaguely familiar. She touches it, and a flash of energy and light engulfs Lana. Lois visits the farm, hoping to talk with Clark, but Martha lies and says that he is sleeping. Jesus Christ, it seems like Martha was the real honest one out of the three, because she is a terrible liar. Lois gives the scoop about Chloe's death. They said that the explosion was caused by a gas leak, but Lois knows better. Lois also states that without Chloe's testimony, Lana will be released from jail. However, Martha subtly tells Lois to get as far away from the looters as fast as possible. In other words,
Run, bitch! Run!
Clark catches up with Lex's jet and rips the door off and steals the stone. Martha contacted Dr. Swan, but his associate Bridget Crosby shows up to the farm.
I can understand your hesitancy in discussing Kal-El with a complete stranger.
Dr. Swan promised Clark that no one else knew.
He promised that your son's secret would not leave the confines of the Foundation, and it hasn't.
Bridget Crosby is played by the late Margaret Kidder, who died back in May of 2018 from an overdose. This is sad. I did not know this until I researched her. Damn. Margaret also played Lois Lane in the Superman movie starring Christopher Reeve. This is another nod to what came before. Anyway, Bridget gives Martha a new form of kryptonite called Black Kryptonite. See, this is the original creation for the show, which later were incorporated into the comics. In the comics, the Batman Who Laughs used it on Superman, Supergirl, and John Kent to turn them into violent savages. But more on this later. Lex goes to see Lionel, and he's still not worried about being in prison. Lex stupidly explains what he's been doing.
Relics, hidden around the world by scientifically advanced ancient cultures. Legend has it that when united, they point the way to a treasury of knowledge that puts the Library of Alexandria to shame.
Lionel says that when he's cleared of all charges, those who put him in there will feel his wrath. Lex accuses Lionel of killing Chloe and tried to kill Lex. However, Lex stated that the poison can kill an ordinary person, and Lex feels that he's not ordinary.
No, you're not. You're my son. God help me.
Clark goes to the cage and opens up the wall and heads inside and sets the stone down. Lana wakes up in bed a little worse for wear. Jason checks on her and Lana says she's blacked out somehow. As Clark closes the wall, Martha takes the black kryptonite and separates Kal-El and Clark. A miracle happens and Jonathan wakes up. Clark doesn't remember anything but the last couple days. Regardless of how things unfolded, Martha is glad that the family is back together. As Lana was taking a shower, she discovered that she has the same symbol from the drawing on her back as a tattoo. Lois tricks Lana into seeing her by using Martha's name. Damn. We only know Lois for like hardly an episode and she's already committing crimes. Lois only wants to see Lana to look into the eyes of the person responsible for Chloe's death. Well, that was stupid, wasn't it? Now you're on Lionel's radar. Dumbass. Lois goes to visit Chloe's grave, vowing to avenge her death. Clark shows up stating that she's not alone. They both start to banter a bit, and I love it.
I get the feeling you like to do things yourself.
My dad raised me to be independent and self-sufficient.
That'd be one way to describe you.
You know, the only thing I like about you at the moment is your mom. You can't possibly be as weird as I think you are with a mom that cool.
Look, why don't you let me help you find out who did this to Chloe? Come on, you can stay at our house while you're in town. It beats living out of your car.
Clark takes a look at Chloe's grave using his X-ray vision and deduces that Chloe is still alive. Clark begs Lois to just believe him as they go to Chloe's safe house, or what's left of it. Clark shares that it's odd that the FBI sealed the cases and the autopsy reports. They are then both attacked by armed men via helicopter. As Lois holds her own, Clark uses his heat vision to ground the helicopter and they both escape. They both get back to the farm and we get another funny scene between Clark and Lois.
Nothing like a little north by northwest action to get the blood pumping, huh?
We usually take turns in the bathroom.
Oh, don't start with me, Smallville.
Just forget it, all right? That's my shirt.
It's the only thing I could find that was clean.
Mom.
Hi.
You're home.
Hi, Mrs. Kent.
Lana studies old photos and conveniently finds the same marking that is her tattoo. Lionel is overconfident that he will be found not guilty even if Chloe takes the stand. Also, Lionel subtly threatens Lex.
You'll never know when it will happen, but it will happen. Each swallow of wine you take, every key you turn, every friend you make, you'll never have another moment's peace.
Lana comes back to Smallville and gets cryptic with Lex.
From your message, I didn't quite get if this is a stopover or if you're back for good.
For a while. Guess Paris just wasn't for me.
Clark spills the beans of where him and Lois were, much to Lois's disappointment. Lois goes out and digs up Chloe's grave and found out Clark was telling the truth. She is then attacked by a metahuman by the name of Trent McGowan. His powers are that he can turn parts of his body into weapons. Well, damn, I can't believe it. He is the third metahuman that got his powers that didn't come from a meteor shower. This is a sign that we are slowly moving away from just Meteor Freak of the Week. Trent's powers resemble that the T-1000 from Terminator 2. If you compare side by side, you will see what I mean. Anyway, as Trent attacks Lois, Lana comes up to help and Trent gets away. Lana comes to visit Clark, saying that she wants to help to find Chloe if she's alive. We then get another awkward, funny scene.
You're back from Paris, you must have found what you were looking for.
I'll say. Who wouldn't want a hot summer fling in the most romantic city on earth?
I was going to tell you.
It's okay.
Really? You too.
We never
Not really.
had a thing.
It's complicated. A complicated thing.
Later that night, Clark is frozen up that Lana is back and in a new relationship. He doesn't really want to tell Lois about it, how he's feeling, but he does anyway.
It's just, I knew she'd be dating other people.
What?
Just understand how you could feel like you know someone so completely, like you know everything about them, and then just all of a sudden...
You don't even know what continent they're on.
Do you always have to finish people's thoughts?
Well, am I right?
The people that attacked Clark and Lois earlier return, and this time they are confronted by General Sam Lane, Lois's dad. General Lane told Lois to stay out of the investigation as they prep to leave. Lois tells Clark there is a connection to Luther Court because they were the ones that paid for Chloe's funeral. Against Clark's better judgment and out of options, he goes to see Lex.
Does this mean you're talking to me again?
Only because I don't have a choice.
Relegated from friend to last resort. Guess I'll have to accept it if it's my only chance to prove myself.
Good. Because I want you to help me find Chloe.
I'd like to set things straight between us, Clark, but don't you think raising someone from the grave is setting the bar a little high?
Lex, Chloe's not in her grave. She was the linchpin in your father's trial. You would have had investigators crawling all over that area. What'd they find?
Pulled some strings and asked the FBI not to release all the morbid details. The fact is, that explosion took out an entire acre, and the reason Chloe's casket is empty is it's because there wasn't anything left. I'm sorry, Clark.
Lois breaks into her father's office and Clark finds her, and they research that General Lane had R&R with Nellie Bly, which they both figured out that Chloe used that name as an alias. Clark speeds over to where Chloe is, but by the time he got there, she was gone, and agents were killed. Lex shows up and reveals the truth.
I felt responsible for Chloe, so I had the investigators watching her. They found a detonating device in the safe house. My father had hired someone to make sure Chloe never made it to the witness stand. The only thing I could do was beat him to it. The house was built on tunnels left from the Underground Railroad. Seconds after Chloe and her dad entered, we rushed them underneath the house. The explosion was rigged to cave in the tunnel behind them.
Lionel is shanked in prison for some odd reason. It is then revealed that Lionel was the one that hired Trent to kill Chloe so that she won't take the stand because he knows that he is guilty. Lex had a tracking device on Chloe and tracked it to an old steel mill. Clark quickly exits to go find her. It is revealed Chloe is tied up and she attempts to escape but is caught by Trent. He was about to kill Chloe until Clark shows up and fights Trent. Clark has the upper hand, but Trent uses his powers to liquefy himself, Terminator style. Lois shows up and helps stun Trent, and Clark using his heat vision while Trent's powers were in flux and kills him. Let's move on. Clark and Lois rescue Chloe as she testifies against Lionel, finding him guilty. Clark contemplates on what this could mean. However, Jonathan for once takes Lex's side.
Says he's been lying to me from day one. The legend on the cave wall says I'm destined to have an enemy. All this time I've been worried about Lionel, but I'm beginning to think that the real threat was right in front of me. I think it's Lex.
Damn, for a guy who doesn't remember much for the last 3 months, he sure has a resolve on how Lex could be his ultimate threat. Clark runs into Lana in the caves, and she assumes that they both move on and Clark and Lois are together.
You and Lois?
Lois? She's bossy. She's stuck up, she's rude. I can't stand her.
The best ones always start that way.
Given what we know under the Superman mythology, Lana is right. But Lana gets cryptic with Clark asking about destiny.
Do you believe in destiny?
I don't want to.
But you can't escape it, can you? Even if you don't know what it is yet?
Lana, what is it you're not telling me?
Lex goes to see Lionel off on his first day of prison, and Lex could have not been more obvious with his pettiness.
Oh, and Dad. I wouldn't have missed this for the world.
As Lana cleans her apartment, Jason shows up like a simp with flowers, saying that he came to Smallville to be with her. These opening 2 episodes, Crusade and Gone, were great, even now as a rewatch. This signifies that things will change going forward, and I honestly was glad that the show is evolving because people like me Didn't think it would survive through season 2, but like I said before, I'm glad I was wrong. Now we are at our first filler episode of the season, Facade, but it hardly felt like filler. I'll just go over key points. We begin with a flashback in Clark's freshman year. Honestly, pretty much everyone looks the same. Didn't need any CGI. Maybe a little makeup. Anyway, a girl by the name of Abigail Fine, unfortunately known as Scabby Abby, goes through an experimental procedure via kryptonite administered by her mother, Elise Fine. Clark has the ambition to join the football team. He even had a little fantasy going. As Lois gets ready to leave for college, General Lane gives her the bad news.
Save yourself a trip. Met you just yanked your acceptance.
What? They can't do that.
They can if you don't have enough credits to finish high school.
Look, I know I missed a few classes, but...
Lo, you failed the last semester.
Damn, I would just forget about college if I had to experience high school all over again. Most of them sorry sacks from my hometown peaked in high school would have killed to relive those days. Anyway, Lois wants to get her credits needed to graduate, so she takes writing for the torch for credit needed to go to college. Abby comes back to school with a complete makeover, and of course the jocks that made fun of her for years are checking her out. Hell, even Clark was checking her out. They even kept it on at gym class or after school while she was running.
Who cares? Kidding me? Man, is she hot.
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. Can I please borrow a piece of pussy? Please.
Listen, when a girl in my high school was the ugly duckling and she got fined, I guarantee you that before school started, she was already found by one dude that recognized her. And even though she was fine, her personality hadn't changed. Chances are she gave up the buns and came back to school either pregnant or has an STD. I'm sorry, this is the chance for me to bash my former high school of Bainbridge High. Not the new one, but the one that was turned into middle school, now rebranded Bainbridge Middle School. But 9 times out of 10, that would have happened. But every chance I get to tell you how much I despise my high school, you either listen or skip it. But let's continue. Jason gets a job at Smallville High and gets Lana, which is a student, comes to his office to get a kiss from her. Jason could have gotten a job anywhere else in Smallville, but to be an assistant coach just to be closer to your girlfriend that is a student, and you can not only get caught, but can get fired, and you're back in the newspaper looking in the want ads. I'm pretty sure Indeed.com did not exist back then. This man is taking a real risk for buns that he ain't even had yet. I felt like if you were a tourist in Paris, this is my humble opinion, I believe that sex is almost guaranteed. Just watch An American Werewolf in Paris. It will show you what I mean. But let's move on. Clark decided that he wanted to join the football team. Hell, it's been long enough. Maybe Jonathan will come around and let him join.
Hell no. Hey, fuck no. Fuck no.
Clark and Jonathan come to an agreement and Clark gets to play football. Martha gets the job managing the talent, but Jonathan is skeptical, as you do. But the reason she took the job because of Jonathan's medical bills. If those are Jonathan's bills, why couldn't he just take the job at the talent or a side job, period? Or you could just let the hospital bills go on your credit like everyone else does. Abby gets intimate with the dude that made fun of her years ago. Where is security? Where is the administrators? How are these two able to sneak into the boys' locker room and have time to do foreplay? However, something happens to the guy as he sees his face deteriorates. The guy runs out and hysterically and accidentally gets hit by Lois. Clark and Lois investigate and finds Abby's necklace in the drain. Lana went to Elise Fine office to get rid of the tattoo, and she sees Abby.
Abby, how's Brett? I saw you two in the hall.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So feeling that she can get in trouble for malpractice, Elise orders Abby to do to Lana what she did to the boy that made fun of her, which she does. Later, Jason stupidly goes to the hospital to help with Lana. Knowing that this incident took place on school grounds, you already risking your job. And peep this, he done found a secret room in the school so that him and Lana could come do some extra activities. Lex came to check up on Lana also, and he already knows that Jason is in a relationship with her. Also, Jason was cut off by his father financially because he came to be with Lana. Chloe figures out that Abby had took an experimental procedure, but at that time her serotonin levels were through the roof, and at least her mom corrected it, or so we thought. It is revealed that she can pass it on to anyone just by kissing them, and the only way the guy and Lana could be cured is to get a dose of a medication to get their serotonin levels back to normal. Meanwhile, Lois figures out what Elise was doing and was going to expose Elise, but was knocked out. Elise was going to give Lois the same procedure, but in reverse. Clark shows up in time, but is affected by kryptonite, so Lois ended up saving him. Lana and the guy were cured. Abby got the help that she needed, and she will be back to school the very next week. Oh, she must be going to the other side of the school where they write off characters down to be seen again. Anyway, the episode ends with a prep rally and Lois dunks Clark into water via football, and they both smile or laugh at each other, which makes Chloe feel some kind of way. Now let me go on a rant real quick. Since Abby's mother was a plastic surgeon and a successful one at that, why she let her daughter go through that? If you are a doctor or a plastic surgeon and whatnot, when you have colleagues that specialize in acne and dental, because you could have fixed her without the experimental procedure to where none of this crap would have happened and your ass wouldn't be in Belle Reve right now. I don't know, I just feel that there were ways around it, but I guess we have to throw away logic out before the episode can happen. Devoted is filler, but let's have some fun with this. Now it starts off with Clark sitting on the bench, but Jason asks Clark to hang in there. The starting quarterback, Danny, was neglectful to his girlfriend, Mandy, until he ingested a sports drink laced with kryptonite, and his attitude completely changes and ditched football practice right before he accused Jason of checking out Mandy. A spot opens up for Clark, and he does well during practice. After practice, Jason was attacked by Danny with a shotgun. Jason was almost killed until Clark saved him. Later that night, Lana expressed that she couldn't express her true feelings when she found out Jason was attacked.
Jason, imagine being your girlfriend and finding out about this from Chloe. God, I felt faint and I wanted to scream, but I couldn't, because why would Lana be freaking out over the new assistant coach?
This is usually the part where I would buy you a massive bouquet of flowers and take you out to a really nice dinner. But I can't because my dad has cut me off.
Jesus Christ, how many times are you going to say that? Meanwhile, Lois is still trying to get out of Smallville High. We get some banter from Clark and Lois.
If you spent as much time studying as you did trying to leave, you'd be in college already.
And where'd you get that pearl of wisdom? The Farmer's Almanac?
So, what do you think?
They're not really your colors. I'm glad you made the team, Clark, but why be a conformist? At least with the whole farm boy plaid thing, as lame as it is, it completely belongs to you.
In the future, let's restrict our conversations to alone goodbye.
Then they started to notice jocks catering to their cheerleader girlfriends.
Where are we? Some kind of freakish feminist parallel universe?
Ah, Lois, wait until you get to the 2010s and beyond. Anyway, while Lois was busy trying to talk to the dean, Clark tells Chloe that he has to dial back his time at the torch since he's starting in football. Chloe was disappointed but understood. Clark and the rest of the football team get uniforms courtesy of Lex, but a child can figure out that Lex was trying to buy back Clark's friendship. Clark stands firm and says that it's going to take a lot more than that. At practice, Jason and Chloe take some of the kryptonite Gatorade. Chloe gets a boost of her feelings for Clark, leaving Lois in charge of the torch. Lois eavesdrops on the cheerleaders led by Manny saying that she needs a new boyfriend, so she has her eyes on Clark. While Lois rubs the cheerleaders the wrong way, she finds a photo with directions for a chemical compound, giving Lois inspiration for her article. That night, Chloe surprises Clark at the barn with just his football jersey on.
I want a diamond ring, I want some bracelets and everything. Daddy, you better get the best for me.
Slow down, baby.
What?
Huh? Nothing. I say nothing.
You said something?
I say nothing.
I heard you say something.
No, nothing.
I'm trying to see what that be like right there. Look, be that.
She comes on to Clark, confessed her love, and kissed him. The next day, hey, wait a goddamn minute. How did he get Chloe to leave? How did he get Chloe to leave? Meanwhile, Jason acts out on the kryptonite Gatorade and kisses Lana in the school hallway and asks her to come to practice. Clark tells Lois that he needs time to figure out what's going on with Chloe. Clark sees Lana believe that she came to see him. Jason overlooks while Clark takes the kryptonite Gatorade and makes Clark sick. As Clark pushes through the pain to practice, Jason tells the other players to give Clark a hard time. Later that night in the barn, Jason shows up and beats Clark senseless until Lex saves Clark. Afterwards, Lex hands over everything he had on Clark. Clark, being cautious, asks if there was a copy. Either way, Lex doesn't want to lose his friendship with Clark. At the school, Lois figures out that Manny did a science project on a love molecule known as phenylethylamine. It was supposed to be a love potion, but it didn't work at first until they added the kryptonite. The only way to reverse the effects is in Manny's folder with said project. Lois convinces Clark to pretend to be up under the effects to get close to Manny, and it works. Lois is attacked by Chloe, but Lois counters.
Oh, sorry. Are you okay, Chloe? What happened?
Lois figures out that the heat was the only cure. Manny gets some of her goons, and Clark saves the day.
Yeah, you better hope for that kind of luck tomorrow on the field.
Bitch, you getting on my nerves. Don't worry, I got something for your ass. Later, Clark goes to the mansion to renew his friendship with Lex as he asks for a favor to get Lois the fuck up out of his life. Clark wins his first game and him and Chloe have a talk. Chloe tells Clark that she still has feelings for him, but Clark, for once being honest, saying that he doesn't have those feelings. But they decide to be good friends. Clark also says that he will have more time for this torch. Lois is now leaving, and it's crazy Clark tried to play it off, but Lois figured it out and says goodbye. But like they do in any other Marvel movie, Lois Lane will return. But I got a question. Did Manny and her friends went to jail because technically that's drugging people against their will? Wouldn't the police get involved? I figured the school was made aware of it because Jason apologized to Clark, and then the reason the team follows behind Clark and trusts Clark because he saved them from being love slaves. Oh damn, I just answered my own question. The next episode runs off with the kids selling stolen goods to some scammers. The kid gets underpaid and takes the money and the stolen goods. Clark and Jonathan were in Metropolis to attend a football game. However, an accident happens. The Jonathan is almost hit until the kid saves him. Clark discovers that he can move as fast as he can. However, the person stole Jonathan's wallet. Clark gets Chloe's help to track the person down who stole Jonathan's wallet. He finds him at a hotel and it was a boy named Bart Allen. Clark tries to catch him. Damn, Clark. He dusted your ass. Oh, before I forget, or to be honest, to get it out of the way because I really don't care about it, we get conflict between Jason and Lana. Jesus damn Christ. If y'all not gonna have sex, then don't get my hopes up. So anyway, Jason finds out about the tattoo, and they both get into a small argument. But by the end of the episode, Lana decides to be honest with Jason to fill him in what's going on with her. Anyway, Clark makes it back home and finds Bart there. They both bond for a moment and they run down to Florida to have a good time. Later, they both go to the talent and find Chloe. Clark meets with Lex and presents a manuscript that had Kryptonian symbols on it. Clark uses his X-ray vision and discovers a map. Clark wants to investigate further and he runs back into Bart. Bart tried to present Clark with an MP3 player, but Clark lectures him on about stealing. Bart gets upset and leaves out. Clark gets to the mansion to look at the map, but Bart swipes it. Bart tries to sell it, but Lex made some calls and had Bart caught and knocked out. Lex calls the police as the two attack them and knocks him out. Just in time for Clark to show up, and it looks like Clark straight up murdered a guy. Let's move on. Bart used kryptonite on Clark to get away. Later, Clark goes back to check on Lex to find out that Bart returned the manuscript. Lex tells Clark that he paid too much for it, but it was a lie, that he too discovered the map. As Clark draws the map from memory, Bart returns to say goodbye.
Yeah.
I know this will get a copyright strike, so I'll post another version on TikTok, maybe Rumble. We get into another advancement of the plot of the season with the episode Transference. As Lex goes to see Lionel in prison, Lionel appears to be dying and said that he loves Lex and reaches out for him. As Lex was about to reach back, we see that it was a trick and we see Lionel holding one of the stones. The stone sends a signal to Clark and he rushes over to save Lex, but Lionel uses the stone to switch bodies with Clark and escapes with Lex. Lionel, as Clark gets cryptic with Lex, that even though Lionel murdered his parents, at the end of the day, they are still blood. Lionel discovers Clark's secret finally while fixing the tractor with Jonathan. Clark, as Lionel meets with Lionel's cellmate that was framed from embezzling money. However, the guy can read the symbols that have decayed walls. And conveniently, he was bunking with Lionel. Edgar also explains that the 3 stones that are put together provide knowledge to whoever wields it. It is also revealed to Clark that Lionel is dying, and since Clark is in Lionel's body, that means he's dying. Back at the farm, Lionel tries to liquidate his account, but the bank doesn't recognize his voice. Lionel discovers more of Clark's powers by accidentally using his heat vision when he hugged Martha. Lionel then abruptly quits the football team when visited by Jason. Back in prison, Clark finds out that Lionel owes some 3-time convicts money, and he has till tomorrow to pay up. Lionel tries to break into Luthor Court's files but fails. Lionel then takes a unique way to take his revenge on Chloe, in my opinion, by playing on her feelings for Clark. Lionel discovers that the Countess is from the village of her mother's ancestors, which naturally freaks her out. Lionel overhears accidentally with superhearing and catches Lana and Jason kissing. Lana goes to visit Clark and forces him to help get the money that he needs liquidated. If not, Lionel will kill Lex with impunity. Lionel gets what he needs, however, the account was completely cleaned out by Lex. Lana shows up to talk to Clark, but she doesn't know what's going on. Lionel entertains her for the moment.
Romantic. Lovers meeting, first kiss shared on the banks of the River Seine.
You moved to Smallville to be with me, Clark. It's kind of serious.
Not surprised? A man would travel around the world to pluck your succulent fruit.
Don't talk to me like that.
That was a mistake. I was too young to know what I was doing. I'm older now, more mature.
Well, I'm not so sure.
Oh, Lana, I'm very different. Let me show you.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Clark Kent. Of course.
Clark managed to get Martha to meet with him to help. I really wonder why he just didn't do this in the first damn place. Anyway, Martha naturally thinks it's Lionel pulling an employee until Clark reveals a story that he and only Martha knew, and she immediately believes him. Lionel went to see Lex and couldn't hold his charade anymore and wanted the money. Lex tried to shoot Lionel but was overpowered until Martha weakens Lionel with kryptonite. Martha calls Jonathan.
Hello.
I've been trying to reach you. Where have you been?
Hi, sweetheart. I was at the mechanics. The tractor, I'm afraid it's shot.
Jonathan, listen to me. You've got to go to the closet and get a meteor rock.
Damn, how long are you going to work on that damn tractor? Lionel tried to interrogate Jonathan on what weakens him, but then he gets a message from Edgar saying to meet. Lionel shows up and is told that he will revert back to his own body. So the only logical solution is for Lionel to destroy his body with Clark inside. Clark starts a riot to lure Lionel out and tricks him to transfer bodies back, and Clark escapes. So it's time for Clark to deal with the consequences of Lionel's actions. We all know that Chloe is mad at Clark, but it won't last for long though. Clark also learns for real this time of Lana and Jason's being together, and he swears that he won't tell. Clark goes to visit Lex, but Lex was a bit on edge.
Clark, I need to talk to you.
After I drove my portion of the river and you fished me out, I asked your dad if there was any way I could repay him. What did he say that we always joke about?
Lex, what is this, a pop quiz?
Answer the question!
I told you to drive slower.
Welcome back.
I mean, at this point, you would have to do something like this in case something like this happens again. Lionel gets an exam to find out that his liver is disease-free. Edgar is parting out of jail with the stone as he gives it to Bridget Crosby. Now, even though it wasn't Clark on Red K this time, but it was still hard to watch. Lionel being in Clark's body for a long revisits a theory that I had since season 1. The effects of anyone having powers, whether it be temporary or not, is further supported in this episode. I knew Lionel was vengeful and bitter, but once he started experiencing setback after setback to get his hands on the money, the power started to alter Lionel's mind and wasn't above getting his hands dirty, and was willing to kill Lex. When he was transferred back to his own body, Lionel had no memory of what happened before the transference. How convenient for Clark as usual, because who knows what Lionel would have done in prison while knowing Clark's secret. Also, side note, the way John Glover and Tom Welling got the mannerisms of Lionel and Clark to a T, they deserve an award for that. And Tom, as usual, had fun this episode. Jinx is filler, but it also introduced another DC villain / anti-hero, Mxyzptlk. Mxyzptlk is a reality warping being from the 5th dimension. He often comes to the 3rd dimension to give Superman a hard time. And Smallville's adaptation, though, of the character, a foreign exchange student by the name of Mikhail Mxyzptlk, is a metahuman with the ability to manipulate people with verbal commands with an ultrasonic frequency. He is also the descendant from a line of people with said ability. They were forced to leave their village and change their name. Lionel saw the talent and brought Mikhail over, much to Lex's suspicion. Mikhail started an underground gambling ring, and Chloe was going to expose him until he used his ability to get her not to do it. Mikhail also causes problems with Clark due to being briefly controlled by Mikhail and accidentally hurt someone. Jason believes that Clark was on steroids, but he took Clark's word and believed in him. However,
I couldn't be happier. And I know, Clark can be unpredictable, but he knows that you need this job to stay in college.
I know it's hard because you've been so close to him, but are you sure you really know him?
Clark and Chloe figure out they can counter Mikhail's frequency by using a counter frequency to rid them of his abilities for good. However, Lex feels that he can help Mikhail regain his abilities. But what we find out in Smallville season 11 comic book, Lex speaks with Mikhail's uncle and finds out Mikhail was returned home without his powers. Damn. Talk about promises unkept. Anyway, Clark managed to win the championship but couldn't really celebrate due to Jason being fired, and Clark is to blame. But it was Lex that did the deed. The next episode, Spell, brings us to a flashback in France in the 1600s. We see the Countess and her sisters are being burned at the stake for witchcraft. Before doing so, the Countess uses her blood to entwine with the symbol that gave Lana her tattoo. Isabel reveals that her heir will one day bring her back to life and continue her quest for the Stones of Power. Back in the present, Lana purchased Isabel's spell book, and she touched the blood stain inside and was possessed by Isabel. Isabel conjures a spell and uses Chloe and Lois's bodies to resurrect her sisters. Oh yeah, told you Lois will return. Before their journey for the Stones of Power continues, the witches use their magic to liven up Chloe's birthday party and had everyone party like it was 2004. And surprisingly, Clark was put under the spell as well, which is a new discovery and weakness besides kryptonite and its magic. Jason tries to destroy the book, but Isabel tosses him like a rag doll, but Clark saves him. Clark confronts the witches, and they briefly took his powers away and got the information of where the stone was, which is in the caves. Clark finds them and grabs the stone that restores his powers. He uses heat vision to destroy the book, freeing Lana, Lois, and Chloe. Later, Lex revealed that he was the one that got Jason fired to Lana. Lana naturally goes to apologize and reveals the tattoo to Clark. Bound is another filler with little plot developments. Lana gets a dream of Isabel, and she sees another witch at the burning, which later she meets Jason's mother, Genevieve. Genevieve wants to have a relationship with Jason, but he was not ready to. The real plot of this episode is that Lex is framed for murder of a random woman he slept with. It turns out that it was his lawyer's assistant that was the one who did it. She wanted Lex to pay for forgetting her when they slept together many months ago. But Lex doesn't remember, which for once Lex was honest about. I guess being rich, you tend to sleep with a lot of women, and they start to blur together. Damn. If only I could have experienced that in my youth. Well, I wasn't rich or good looking, according to society. Let's move on. Lana was the one that helped Clark with the clues and saved Lex in time before he was killed. Clark saw Lex on a new low, and for the first time ever, he saw Lex as an enemy, because he thinks that having one-night stands with women is immoral. Also, back then, I used to be like Clark. Why want all the girls? I just need one. But if 2004 me time traveled to 2017 and see me from afar for a couple of months to see me having sex with many women, will he be in awe or will he be impressed? But it's funny how things used to be that women don't want to be seen as sex objects, but now from 2018 and beyond, now you have women who want to have meaningless casual sex. But enough about tying my experience to this episode. So let's move on. The next episode, Scare, begins with Lana coming to Clark for help from Jason. However, Jason shows up and beats up Clark.
Clark can't protect you from me. Nobody can.
So come to find out, this was a hallucination and Jason falls from one of the floors onto the Talon floor. At the hospital, Chloe and Clark came to check on them. Lana explains that Jason is a constant panic mode and his heart rate won't go down while unconscious. Chloe and Clark go to Lana's apartment and Clark looks around.
Clark, I don't mean to go all Dr. Phil on you, but don't you think you should admit that they're in a relationship?
Come on, Chloe, I'm past that.
Yeah, I should have known by that crippling stare on your face ever since you walked in the apartment.
Gee, you hated those salt and wounds, huh, Chloe? Anyway, Chloe finds out that Jason had a meeting with LuthorCorp and they both head out. Once the two made it to LuthorCorp, they split up. Clark finds Lex and he tells Jason's condition, which Lex has the look that he knows more than he's letting on. Chloe started to experience the same hallucination as she saw herself in a straitjacket and being told that she won't run from it. In case you didn't know, Chloe's mother is institutionalized. So Lex does know what's going on. Apparently there's a pipe burst and so far it only affected Chloe and Jason. There is an antidote but it won't be ready for a few hours. Lana wants to help and her and Clark discover that the toxin was over Chloe's house in LuthorCorp. Lana falls victim herself in her own visions of being afraid that everyone will leave her. Clark gets into the hospital, however he falls into hallucination himself and it was that of another meteor shower and Lana found out his secret and blames him for her parents' death and stabs him with kryptonite. Clark wakes up and goes home and finds his parents laid out on the floor. He goes to see Lex and was willing to get himself up to help everyone, but conveniently there was another way. Clark uses his heat vision to get the antidote to the right temperature, and Lex was the first to take it. Lex saw his own nightmare, stock footage from the first season, seeing himself in a white suit causing a nuclear attack throughout the world, killing millions. Oh yeah, this was also stock footage from Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, but I think everyone noticed that. So the antidote was administered and saved everyone in Smallville. Oh yeah, Lionel gets his conviction overturned. Later, Jason breaks up with Lana, saying that he doesn't want Lana to see the person that he's becoming. Back at the farm, Jonathan and Martha told Clark their greatest fear and it almost came true when Clark was going to get himself up to save everyone. Due to Clark's fear, now more than ever, he wouldn't share his secret with anyone. The episode ends with Chloe finding her mother and telling Clark, if you can't trust your best friend, who can you trust? The next two episodes are a two-parter, sort of. Unsafe starts off with Clark being lonely even though women are practically throwing themselves at his feet. In the Belle Reeve, a psychiatrist, Dr. McBride, says that a particular patient is cured.
Alicia, it's time. You can go home now.
Alicia returns and the first person she goes to see is Clark. Damn, she wasn't even getting digged down and she still head over here for Clark. Alicia says that she's better now and she has a bracelet that dampens her abilities. Clark has his reservations, but a little digging from Chloe, it turns out that Alicia is better, which is exactly what Clark wanted to hear. Lana confronts Jason on why he broke up with her and he says that she's not ready for that kind of relationship. Clark goes ice skating with Alicia, but she is followed by Dr. McBride. He warns her to stay away from Clark if she wants to stay out of Belle Reeve, meaning that he is in love with her. Alicia wants to run away to California with Clark for a fresh start, but Clark says he can't leave. Upset, Alicia leaves out and goes to the Talon and gets red kryptonite. Alicia was serious about leaving for California and told Clark about Dr. McBride. Alicia, quote unquote, says goodbye and gives him a necklace laced with red kryptonite. Clark tried to get busy with Alicia, but she wants to get married. Clark on the Red K comes up with the idea to get married in Vegas and takes off Alicia's lead bracelet and they teleport. Meanwhile, Lana visits Chloe and tells her assuming that Jason wants a girl that puts out. Chloe reveals that she put out years ago in Metropolis. Later, Lana calls Jason over to have sex with him, but he stops her. He then reveals the reason for him breaking up with her.
Just walk out on this relationship.
Because I don't think we met by accident. I think that my mother arranged it.
How's that even possible?
My mother was the one who convinced me to go to Paris in the first place. She said that I would meet someone special. And I did.
In Vegas, Clark and Alicia get married. They go to a hotel room and they took forever to get damn busy. But right before they get busy, Alicia takes off the red K necklace. Clark naturally gets upset. Alicia feels bad and she teleports away. Back at the farm, Dr. McBride tries to kill Clark, but Alicia protected Clark's secret by teleporting in front of the bullet. Later, Clark tells his parents on what happened.
My God, you ran off with a girl you barely know and got married.
He was on Red K.
Marriage is sacred, Clark. It's about two people who trust each other and are willing to go through life together no matter how difficult it gets. I thought we had taught you that.
He was on Red K.
You're an amazing young man, Clark. You make life and death decisions every day. But then you turn around and you do this. Why did you do it?
He was on Red K. God damn. How is this not a hard concept to understand? And I don't want to hear the lame excuse saying, oh, it's still the same Clark, even though he's on Red K. It's just take away his inhibitions. I don't want to hear that. The man was drugged. Alicia came to say goodbye to Clark for real this time, but he stops her from leaving, still wanting to be with her. Subplot, Lionel sees Lex saying that he's changed, but Lex doesn't believe it. For now, he's letting Lionel stay in the guest house. Pariah follows Lionel being attacked by someone while in the locked room, and everyone assumes it's Alicia. Oh yeah, Lois is back. Everyone is still upset at Clark that he's still with Alicia after all she's done. However, Clark stands firm and believes that she didn't do it. Jason is then attacked but is saved by Clark. However, he finds Alicia's scarf. While in the hospital, Genevieve visits Jason and he confronts her on enraging him in Lana's meeting, and of course she denies it. Clark confronts Alicia and she says that she's innocent. She proposes that maybe they wouldn't be so quick to judge her if Clark came forward and revealed his secret, and of course he says,
Hail to the no!
Alicia gets upset and teleports away. Clark goes to the sheriff to talk about Alicia, but she says that during the time of Jason being attacked, Alicia was being held in the interrogation room. At the torch, Alicia grabs Chloe and creates a ruse to lure Clark out and teleport her and Chloe out of the car. Clark shows up and catches the car, but unknown to him, Chloe was watching. While on a date with a guy that Lois met at karaoke, Tim Westcott had an eerie rant of the way Smallville used to be before the meteor shower. Now he feels that the people are doing bad things and getting away with it. Moreover, he feels that Lana and Jason deserve what they got. Lois figures out that the killer is not Alicia and goes to find Clark. Clark goes to Alicia's house and he finds her.
No, please, no. Please, Alicia. No. No. No! No! No!
Lois shows up and she tells Clark on where to find Tim Westcott, the person that killed Alicia. Clark confronts Tim and almost killed him, but Lois stops him. Genevieve visits Lex and tries to get him to help break Jason and Alana up, but to the contrary, Lex gives Jason a job to find out what Genevieve is up to. Chloe is still in awe on finding out Clark's secret. Clark was held up in his loft for days, blaming himself for Alicia's death. His parents tried to console him, but he wasn't hearing it. While at Alicia's grave, Chloe comes to visit Clark and says that she will be there for him whenever he needs her. The episode ends with Clark being alone in Alicia's grave, still blaming himself for what happened. I hated the way on how Alicia went out, killed before she was proven innocent. The man she loved thought she was guilty, even though there was no way he could have known Tim had the power to enter locked rooms without teleporting. So Alicia was the obvious to frame. I suppose this was the only way Alicia could have been written out of the series. It could have been other ways, like she could have left for California since no one believed her that she changed. Once that happened, Tim would have been caught eventually. The actress that played Alicia, Sarah Carter, did a really good job of portraying her. I would love to see her in a TV show as a main lead in recent years, mind you. She also could have gotten the same treatment I wanted for Whitney, have her as a series regular, had her and Clark together, and then if you wanted to kill her off, you could have done it towards the end of season 6 or the beginning of season 7. Either way, it would have closed the chapter of Clark and Lana for good. But hey, wishful thinking.